Okay, good morning. We are here for our weekly Board of Commissioners meeting in the Senator Hearing Room at 555 Court Street Northeast. It's Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019. And as always, if you will join us, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wow, it's the day before America's birthday. Pretty cool.
You know, just a comment, not on that, and that's certainly the important thing, but you know, we're halfway through your term as chair, and you know what, I think you're right there, just for your...
I switched up where we were with the date, just to see if you would, catch that.
Perfect.
Not, right? You know me, I just can't do anything in script. It's always off script. It gets me in trouble. Look at everybody laughing at me when I said that out there. All right. We have none signed up for public comment. None didn't leave the address where they live either. Noni?
Noni.
Okay. We will go right into our consent calendar. Oh, well, you know what? Before we do that, there's a couple of people that are sitting up here with us today that may not look familiar to some of the people viewing this tape.
It's not me, I'm just the same old thing.
Yeah, probably people wouldn't miss us if we were not sitting here, Commissioner. But Melissa Rounds is with us. She is our new office manager in the board's office. Welcome, Melissa. And she's sitting right next to Brenda, and everybody knows Brenda. And then this lady with, I don't know, Eugene colors on. You know, Commissioner,
Christmas.
Huh? Oh, it's Christmas. Jan Fritz, and I think most everybody knows Jan, but we are so blessed to have you be our new Chief Administrative Officer. And it's the first time John's not been sitting there, and you're going to be taking that seat, and you know you've got a lot of people around you to support you, and we're just really honored to have you serving in the board's office. So, yeah, thanks.
I appreciate your support.
Yeah, and Melissa, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You'll have to learn to
so
use the microphone.
we're getting close to having our full strength back, because John in last month, he was like giddy. I mean, he was happy all the time. I go, something's wrong with this guy. He was smiling every day. Wasn't himself. And it was interesting Monday that here he came in a suit and tie for the sheriff's swearing-in ceremony. So, and I see the new sheriff is sitting here with us today too. A new sheriff in town. So it's a good day. Happy birthday, America, too, tomorrow. So, all right. Anything else? You want to say something?
Oh, at the end.
Okay. All right. So we'll go in the consent calendar. Big one.
I did have one thought, we've just fooling around driving, and I was, Janet used to always watch us when she was gone, and I'm just was speculating on whether Colin would watch us or not, and I'm voting no, just so you know.
Well, I don't when I'm gone.
Well, because I don't either. All right, maybe Janet was the exception. Chair Cameron, I'd like to make a motion to approve this morning's consent calendar. Only 2 items on it. Under the Sheriff's Office, approve an intergovernmental agreement with the, dress up the city of Sublimity for incoming funds in the amount of $185,504 to provide law enforcement services through June 30th, 2020. And Tax Office, approve an order for a property tax refund in the amount of $37,511.19 to North Star Communities LLC.
Okay, I'll second your motion. Any further discussion on those 2 items on the consent calendar? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. First item under action today is finance. I see Jeff is here with us. Consider approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Salem restating the relationship that forms the Mid-Willamette Cable Regulatory Commission. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Jeff White, Chief Financial Officer.
And Scott Norris from the Office of Legal Counsel.
So today before you, as you mentioned, there's an intergovernmental agreement that we would ask you to approve. Marion County and the City of Salem have formed a joint cable regulatory commission and have entered into cable franchise agreements. It is their intent to construct, operate, and maintain a unified cable communication system to provide public, educational, and government access to the cable system. The construction, operation, and maintenance of the unified system serves the public interest, and that the individual boundaries of the jurisdictions do not coincide with the needs of the citizens of the jurisdictions for a unified cable communication system. The draft intergovernmental agreement was reviewed by the Mid-Willamette Valley Regulatory Commission on June 24th. No concerns were noted. The IGA requires approval of the Marion County Board of Commissioners and the City of Salem City Council. So Mr. Scott Norris is here to review a couple of the highlights of what we changed in that agreement, and I'll turn it over to him.
Good morning, Commissioners. One more time, for the record, my name is Scott Norris with the Office of Legal Counsel. The IGA for the Cable Regulatory Commission was last revised in 1998, and this revision is intended primarily to update the agreement to be consistent with current practices and to make a few minor changes to the agreement. The provisions I would point out in particular are sections 3.3, specifically identifying the county as providing staff and legal support to the commission. Changes to sections 4.1 and 4.2 to essentially consolidate those provisions and specifically identify what powers are retained by the city and the county for dealing primarily with franchise issues. Section 5.2 having to do with quorum and voting, authorizing Cable Regulatory Commission commissioners to appoint a substitute in the event that a commissioner is unable to attend a Cable Regulatory Commission meeting. And a couple of changes, once again, primarily to conform to current practice. Section 7.4, identifying 100% of the public education and government fees collected by the city and the county to be turned over to the CRC. And Section 10.3 specifically authorizing the acquisition of real property. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Just minor, at least on this copy here, I couldn't find a 4.2 that you mentioned. Was that the right number?
Yes, that provision has been removed and consolidated into what is Section 4.1.
That answer, yeah, I couldn't see that either. Okay.
I don't have anything.
Yeah. You're assigned to this commission, right? You
Yes.
serve on this? Okay. So when I have a cable problem, I just call you?
And then I'll talk to Scott and Jeff.
Okay.
So Chair Cameron, I would make a motion that we approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Salem relating to a relationship that forms the Mid-Willamette Cable Regulatory Commission.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Our next item under action is, I have to tell you that I didn't achieve perfection. I was notified that my microphone was on mute that whole time. So
No wonder it
nobody
sounded
heard
so
a
good.
word that I said of perfection. Okay,
That was
under Health and
close.
Human Services, consider approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority in the amount of $2,156,937 for the financing of public health services through June 30th, 2021. Carrie and Katrina are here this morning. Good morning.
Commissioners. Carrie Muller, Health and Human Services Administrator.
Katrina Rothenberger, Public Health Division Director.
So as you indicated, we're here to talk about our IGA for our public health services. It's the beginning of a new biennium, and you should expect to see us pretty frequently with regards to the IGA's intergovernmental agreements for all of our health and human services. But today I'm going to turn it over to Katrina to talk with you specifically about this action item.
Okay. The total amount for this intergovernmental agreement is $2,156,937. And additional amendments are anticipated once the state budget is approved. Last biennium, we had about 18 amendments throughout the 2-year period. This agreement includes 12 program elements, and it's coming to you later in the year due to later than normal receipt of the IGA. There were quite a few changes made at the with Oregon Health Authority. There's clear language around contract monitoring and revised revenue and expenditure reporting and clear timelines around their due dates. We've also aligned language and timelines for over expenditures, miss expenditures, and under expenditures across all agreements for local public health authorities, tribal and community mental health programs. Another change that has been ongoing for the previous year and a half to each program element is to align the language with public health modernization by clearly identifying how the service provided aligns with foundational programs and capabilities, and also establishing performance and accountability measures. So the foundational programs for our public health system's core work include communicable disease control, prevention and health promotion, environmental health, and assuring access to clinical preventive services. And the foundational capabilities are the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed to successfully implement the foundational programs. There's been quite a few changes to our funding models, also to align with public health modernization, where we were receiving a little dollar amount for providing tuberculosis treatment and daily observed therapy. We're now being paid on a case-by-case basis. So unfortunately, we have received quite a bit of money for our active tuberculosis cases. We'd like to see that number be zero, but it does make budgeting a little bit difficult. When we see an increase in our incidence of disease, we get more funding. So we are cross-training staff to make sure that they can work in multiple areas so we can surge up as appropriate to respond to those communicable disease threats.
So that does raise a question. So if you're only being paid for TB, for example, case-by-case basis, if you have no cases, you have no funding to have staff ready for prevention.
Right.
So it's like hiring a fire department after the fire breaks out.
Yes, so in
Is that,
the old model.
it doesn't make sense to me.
No, but the old model didn't make much more sense either. So
Okay.
many counties were receiving like $1,000 or less. And so now counties that actually have an incidence are being paid what it costs to take care of our population. So it's a little bit better.
Okay.
We'll just follow in that line of thought. So what's our agreements with other counties? I can picture a situation where they might or we might have expertise in tuberculosis or some other thing. Can you borrow when needed?
It's a great question, Commissioner, and we actually had an example of that over the last few years across the river with Polk County, specifically to help with an investigation of tuberculosis. So we have agreements with our local county partners to provide some surge capacity to help with incidents of managing these outbreaks.
I guess that's reassuring. Good.
Somebody sitting next to you probably helped with that.
I think
Right.
she did, and
Cross
somebody
juris-
on the board probably had a role in that too.
Cross-jurisdictional, good things that we're doing there.
Yeah.
I did have
Okay.
one other question. So I know 18 amendments, you expect more coming, but do you have any indication either from this amount, this $2 million amount, or anything that says adequate funding, same as last year? Any comments on where we're at that way?
Yeah, it's about the same as last year.
Okay.
We can't predict the tuberculosis incidence year to year, but that's it's pretty stable from last year.
But overall, the legislature did just pass an increased amount of funding, some base funding for modernization. So it's not a lot. The incredible work that this team does, our public health team, the funding, the base funding is, the work that they do for the funding that we get is pretty significant. So these little increases that we're anticipating from the state, I think will go a long way. And it's more, again, to move us to protection of the whole health of the community rather than necessarily individual services. That's the change that modernization is asking us for us. So the legislature just passed a $5 million increase in our public health funding.
It's, the total award amount is about $15 million. That will cover our existing partnership with Polk County, and that is around $440,000. So that will be level funding for this next biennium, and we're anticipating additional funds to be determined to focus on those foundational programs and capabilities.
So maybe we can only have 17 amendments this biennium instead of 18. We'll see.
So Chair Cameron, I'd like to make a motion, we do approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority in the amount of $2,156,937 for the financing of public health services through June 30th, 2021.
And I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Stay safe tomorrow. Enjoy. Okay, next item under action, Public Works, consider approval of a resolution initiating amendments to the Marion County Code MCC, Title Number 16 Urban Zone Code and Title Number 17 Rural Zone Code related to beekeeping in residential zones. Did you bring some honey, Joe?
I did not.
All right.
For the record, this is Joe Fenimore. This item before you today is a resolution to initiate amendments to the Marion County Zone Code related to beekeeping in residential zones. The current code does not allow beekeeping in residential zones. In 2018, as a result of an enforcement action, the Oregon State Beekeepers Association requested the board consider amending the code to allow beekeeping and to stay a current enforcement action at that time. The board directed staff to prepare a policy on the issue. A policy was drafted that would require the zone code enforcement to work with the association if a complaint was received. The association would work with the beekeepers in theory to help meet the best management practices. Staff delayed bringing that policy to the board until it was demonstrated that it would work in that current enforcement case. Unfortunately, the issue was not resolved and the complaint continued. In August 2018, when staff updated the board on the issue, the board chose not to adopt the policy and instead directed staff to encourage the association to propose beekeeping amendments to the Planning Commission, Marion County Planning Commission, for consideration. The Planning Commission held a work session on the issue on October 2018 and made a recommendation that the board allow beekeeping in residential zones. However, that recommendation was based on information presented at the work session by the association. It was not a public hearing. Just prior to that work session, staff learned that the city of Salem was beginning their process to amend their code to allow beekeeping in its residential zones. In order to maintain consistency with properties inside the Salem UGB, staff chose not to bring matter back until the city had completed its process. On June 10th, the city approved amendments to its code that allow beekeeping in residential zones subject to some standards. At your public meeting on June 24th, the board directed staff to prepare a resolution initiating amendments to the zone code and referring the matter to the Planning Commission for a public hearing and recommendation. The resolution has been prepared for your consideration. You have the options of adopting the resolution as written, direct staff to modify the resolution and bring it back, or take no action at this time. Staff recommends you adopt the resolution as written. I'll be happy to answer questions.
If I could, Joe, I forget the language you used, but could you describe what the conditions in Salem are? I'm not sure how we left this. My predisposition is if you're in a crowded neighborhood, it's probably not right. Tell me where the latest is.
So what I understand the city did at this point is they went to the Planning Commission with a recommendation that was changed and went to the city council and was actually changed again. They ultimately allowed 5 hives on a property with up to 7 between April and August, for some reason, I'm not sure where that came from. Meet setbacks. If you're within 25 feet of a property line, you have to put in a barrier that's 6 feet high so the bees have to fly up and over it to get out of the yard, so they're not flying right into the neighbor's yard. Or you put it up 10 feet in the air, 10 feet high in the air. And that's basically what the city came up with. You have to have an adequate water supply also.
And nothing about density of the neighborhood or anything?
Correct. That doesn't mean that the planning commission can't look at those same issues. So what we would do if we do this code amendment, the plan would be to remove this from the zone code and get the standards in where we have the backyard chickens and the dog shelter, animal regulations, and that part of the code. And then if it needs to be amended later, we don't have to go through the land use process.
I got one other. Any limitations on neighbors and their use of perhaps lawn chemicals or anything?
They never address that
That-
at all, no.
I don't want to get into that. All right. I'm for bees, but, okay, we'll wait and see how it turns out.
See what the planning commission ends up with.
Excuse me.
So, no, that's good. So just to be clear, our planning commission isn't going to address this again unless we ask them to? Is that-
Correct.
They've already, right.
Well, they had a work session, but it wasn't a public hearing, so it wasn't an opportunity for opponents to come in or people with concerns to voice their opinion. It was just the presentation by the association.
Right. And so like others, we're just trying to stay consistent in the urban growth boundary with the city of Salem, like
Correct.
we did with chickens.
And we will also check with, there are some residential lands that would qualify in Woodburn and Silverton. We will check with those cities first and see what they're doing.
Okay. I wonder how chickens and bees get along in the backyard together.
You see, you're pushing me. I don't know.
Eggs and honey, let's see, the eggs I can deal with, honey,
In spite of that, Chair Cameron, I'd like to make a motion we do approve a resolution initiating amendments to Marion County Code, Title 16 and Title 17 related to beekeeping in residential zones.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Joe. Just buzz right on out of here.
I didn't even mention to be or not to be, just so it wouldn't be.
Okay, moving on to a more serious matter. We have the Sheriff's Office to consider approval of a memorandum of understanding with the District Attorney's Office in the amount of $214,682 to identify offenders of criminogenic risk factors through June 30th, 2021. And it says that the new sheriff in town, Joe Cast, and Commander Wood, but I just see the old guy, Commander Wood, still sitting here.
He's
Welcome.
leaving me alone, Commissioner.
Well, welcome, Jeff. Sometimes that's a good thing, you know?
I might crash and burn, I don't know.
Yeah.
As always, Commissioners, thank you for a moment of your time. For the record, Jeff Wood, I'm a commander with the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Before you to seek your support and consent for a memorandum of understanding between the Marion County Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office as part of our ongoing effort with our Senate Bill 416 prison diversion program. Just to kind of give some color and context to the program itself, Senate Bill 416 actually came from the 2011 legislative session, during which time the Department of Correction was on what was projected to be an untenable track for the prison population. The bill itself was targeting nonviolent property offenders to divert them from what historically would be a prison sentence, divert them to community supervision and supports. The bill itself died in 2011, but then in 2012, we were approached by the Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office were approached by the Criminal Justice Commission and asked, due to our involvement with the bill itself, were we interested in piloting a program here in Marion County? We were. We thought we could do good work with funding, and luckily, the Criminal Justice Commission had unspent American Recovery and Reinvestment Act dollars that they could use for this program. So July 1st, 2012, our Senate Bill 416 Prison Diversion Program launched. What we do with that program is divert historically prison-bound drug and property offenders who, as I said, normally would go to Department of Corrections institution. We divert them with community supports, treatment, intensive supervision, and maybe more specific to this memorandum of understanding, it is one of the few programs that we have and really is being modeled throughout the state to encompass all criminal justice costs associated with the program. Although I'm here before you for the Memorandum of Understanding, Senate Bill 416, which is funded by our justice reinvestment dollars that we get through the criminal justice system, Criminal Justice Commission currently, pays for deputy district attorney, pays for supervision costs, pays for a drug and alcohol counselor, drug and alcohol mentor, and also pays for 5 jail beds that we use for pretrial purposes and sanctioning purposes whenever there are supervision violation issues. So we do believe this is just one component of a broader comprehensive program within Marion County. Specific to the Memorandum of Understanding, this funds the Deputy District Attorney, and this has sort of been an interesting process over the years. The Deputy District Attorney identifies nonviolent drug and property offenders, utilizes an actuarial, can't even pronounce the word, a validated risk assessment tool to screen those people to determine whether or not they're appropriate for the program. We get those referrals from the district attorney's office. We do additional screenings and utilize motivation tools to see if they are an appropriate risk for the program. Once this is green-lighted from the sheriff's office and the district attorney's office, we have the support of our judges within the Marion County Circuit Court, and these people get an array of services. One of the nice things that we have with the utilization of those jail and transition center beds is we can get them engaged in treatment services pre-release if they are serving a sentence prior to supervision, so that we sort of hit the road running, so to speak. You might be asking, has this been working over time? And I will say, and as I've said over the years, our overall recidivism rate has been, and regardless of how you define recidivism, whether you use the old definition or the new definition, we have been on a downward track over the last 10 years. And our prison utilization in Marion County is the second, I'll say, most significant throughout the state. Some of you have seen the dashboards that have been created and crafted by the Criminal Justice Commission. Marion County, in a decrease of prison utilization, is second only to Multnomah County. And by my count this morning, we've actually reduced our historical prison utilization by almost 13,000 months over the last 5 years. I should say again, this does not impact negatively our recidivism rate, and according to the Uniform Crime Reporting statistics I looked up this morning, our crime rates have not gone up either. So with that, I will close my testimony and obviously answer any questions if there are any.
I don't have any.
This is a flagship program of all the stuff we're doing. Really, really great. I'll never forget when I was in the legislature, the janitor, Steve,
Yes.
what's his last name?
McNeil.
Steve McNeil brought a group of guys into the legislature, and they were sitting up above watching the process and just programs like that, because he was supervising the 416, I think, at that time.
At the time, yes.
And the things that he was doing with that group of men. And is there women? Didn't we expand this to women too?
It can
Yeah.
include both men and women, yes.
Yeah, it's a great program and good results, giving people a chance to turn their lives around without sending them to a place that teaches them how to be even better criminals. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you.
All right.
Right.
Chair Cameron, I'd make a motion we approve the memorandum of understanding with the District Attorney's Office in the amount of $214,682 to identify offenders with, this will be a problem for me, you can help me, criminogenic risk factors
Good.
through June 30th, 2021.
And I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the good work that you and your team do. Okay, We will now open a contract review board under the Sheriff's Office. Consider approval of an order for special procurement of M4 solutions for project management services related to Marion County Records Management System, jail management system purchase and installation. Whew. Under Sheriff and Camber are here today. Welcome.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Camber Schlag. I'm the Contracts and Procurement Manager in Finance.
Good morning, Chair, Mr. Chair, and members of the board. My name is Troy Clausen. I'm the Undersheriff for Marion County. I want to go ahead? Perfect. So this morning we are coming before you to ask for permission to enter into a special procurement contract with 4M4 Solutions to help project manage and provide subject matter expertise to our jail management, records management system, and patrol records management system replacement that needs to be completed by our office. Just a little background, we are currently utilizing a end-of-life product that we've had for over 30 years. Initially, this product was developed for the jail and then pushed out to patrol when we saw the necessity for a records management system there. When I came over to the county in September of 1997, I left a municipality that was using a computerized records management system, and when I came here to patrol, and they gave me a Tandy computer to type things out and print on a dot matrix printer, I thought I'd gone back in time a little bit. So we eventually worked with the vendor to develop a law enforcement side of the records management system, and that has currently been in place since about 1999. The vendor that we're currently using is no longer supporting the project that we have, and so it's provided the impetus for us to make this change. We're looking at roughly what could be upwards of a $2 million project over the course of the time that this is deployed. No one in the Sheriff's Office currently has the knowledge base to honestly do the project management of this size and scope with regard to the work that's necessary to be completed. Typically, these projects last anywhere from 18 months to 24 months. During that time, you're working through a wide variety of different issues with IT and the vendor that ends up being selected that you end up choosing to provide those services to you. The nice thing is Form 4 Solutions, and specifically their CEO, basically Melissa Wiesner, she's been through this process. She just recently completed a 3-year project with Clark County, Washington, going through their jail management and records management deployment, where she essentially ran the entire project in conjunction with IT, finance, legal, and every other aspect that needed to be touched. She was able to successfully guide them through that project. It was, for them, a $1.4 to $1.6 million project. They are similar in size and scope to what we are. Her skill set that she brings, not only with that particular system, but working with the Portland Police Bureau Region project, makes her extremely valuable and beneficial to the scope and work that we have for our project. So the Bureau of Justice Administration provided law enforcement agencies, Bureau of Justice assistants provided law enforcement agencies with the standard functional specifications for law enforcement records management systems. There's 25 separate areas that particularly need to be touched when you go through these things, and that's the minimum side of stuff. So each one of those areas, whether it's data migration, taking a look at your legacy data, which is all of the information that you currently have in your system to make sure that when it's mapped and goes over to the new system, that's done correctly, that you don't have invalid data going that way, that you don't have duplicates. All the interfaces that we use with a number of different vendors, commissary, food at the jail, medical, we've got CHL, we've got search and rescue, we've got civil. That doesn't even get into just the normal patrol-oriented duties or even agencies bringing people to our jail and needing to utilize currently our J3 system, which is our intake form, which is done by hand right now. What we would like to be able to do is make that automated and go to a paperless system all the way around. So having the ability to utilize somebody with Form 4 solutions expertise in a special procurement process, because of the history and the expertise that this particular vendor brings to the table, it's going to help the sheriff's office make sure that we stay on task, on time, under budget, and that we interface and work with the selected vendor, work with our own internal partners, external partners, and more importantly, IT and legal to get this done correctly. So it's for these reasons that we would ask that we be able to enter into a special procurement contract with Form 4 Solutions to provide project management and subject matter expertise guiding us through this 2-year project. Thank you.
So the ORPN notice was posted
Check
last.
is your mic on, Camber?
The green light's on.
All right.
That's the word. So the ORPN notice was posted last week, and it did close yesterday without any protest received. Part of that ORPN posting is to indicate how this is unlikely to encourage favoritism. As Under Sheriff Clausen portrayed, the skills that they're bringing to this contract is, we're not able to locate any. We did look on ORPN. We did do a quick search. We could not find anybody with the specific sheriff's office setup skills to deploy this kind of a project. The other area that our special procurement has is how this will provide a substantial cost savings. And as the undersheriff mentioned, with the help of Forum 4 Solutions, negotiating with the awarded RMS JMS contractor for Clark County, they did have a savings of 10 to 15% for their total budget. So again, we're hoping that we can get some assistance with that with this company as well.
So you have questions?
Comments mostly.
Okay.
Ready? Go ahead.
Is this budget, is the project, not this, is the project budgeted this year, or is it a multi-year project? Jan?
Commissioner Cameron, it is budgeted this year, but it is a multi-year project as well. So it's funded in the CIP fund.
Okay. I just couldn't remember from what we just approved. Yeah, thank you. Sam?
Well, I don't know where to start, but I think since I got here, I've been aware of this and in favor of making the change every year. I don't know why it doesn't happen, or hasn't happened. But I really, and you could hear it from Troy talking about, you got to stay in operations and things. We talk about perfection jokingly, but they have to stay perfect. Records, you can't have releases, you can't, I keep repeating, lose those records, and that transition itself sounds just as hard as anything where you're kind of in no man's land. So the thought that there's somebody out there that's already done this, will learn. They've had the learning curve already. I'm happy there's even anybody there to get us through it, and I fully support this particular and getting the project completed. So while I'm talking,
Sure.
I think I'll just make the motion that approves an order for a special procurement with 4M4 Solutions for project management services related to the Marion County Records Management System, Jail Management System purchase and installation. See, I can't even keep that all straight. This is complicated.
That's because you're working with me today, and
Okay.
I rub off on people.
Yeah.
I'll second your motion. Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No, this project and the one in the assessors, we talk about it every year. We agree to it, we find money, and then nothing happens. So I want this to happen.
Good. Okay. All those in favor of it happening signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Just a question, I guess. Clark County, how many, you know what their population is? Troy, you said they were similar in size. I know they're the fastest growing.
Jane, aren't you the expert? Just
I know they're the fastest growing county in Oregon. I know that.
Jane probably has it right off the top of her
They're
head.
about 340,000.
Oh, about the same then.
Yeah.
And then, you know what their deputies, their sheriff's department is? Troy, I mean, these are off subject, but
Yeah, off the top of my head, I think they're roughly the same for us for patrol, right around 40 to on the road, basically. Their jail is of a similar size as ours as well. So it's almost a carbon copy match with what we're doing. That's the nice thing that comes to the table here is they went through that full jail side and patrol side as well as the records civil side. So it'll match up really, really nicely. I will add, first off, Mr. Chair and members of the board, thank you very much for your time this morning on this particular subject. This is outside of the public safety building that we just finished building. This is the next most important project that the Sheriff's Office will have over the next 2 years. This project is huge in scope. It needs this type of service and will bring us into the 22nd century, basically, and getting this done. So we cannot thank you and the new Chief Administrative Officer, Jan Fritz, enough for financially supporting this particular endeavor, because it is truly the most important thing that we'll be doing over the next 2 years.
Safety first and last.
Absolutely.
All right. So we already voted for this. Yeah, this is done. Thank you for your service, and I just want to, my editorial comment about it, Clark County being where you live, well, you served up there. You live, yeah. Being the fastest growing county in Oregon, that was always a joke, that people were moving across the river to avoid capital gains taxes, so.
Income taxes.
Right, so, okay. I will close the contract review board. Thank you very much. And I'll read the calendar.
I wonder if
Yeah,
I could ask the sheriff's office to just stick around for a little bit to listen in.
Sure. All right.
Thank you.
So let me read the calendar and then we can chat. Today is board session at 9 a.m. Tomorrow's a holiday. America's birthday. July 4th. July 8th at Monday at 8:30, calendar review here on the 5th floor in the Silverton Conference Room. Monday the 8th at 9 a.m., management update here, 5th floor, Silverton Conference Room. Monday the 8th, 11 a.m., Board of Commissioners Chief Administrative Officer meeting, executive session if needed pursuant to ORS 192.660, 2A, B, D, F, H, I, to begin immediately following management update, location Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor. Monday, 7/8, 1 p.m., executive session for FAPO MCLA bargaining pursuant to ORS 192.6602D, location here in the Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor. Tuesday, 7/9, 7:30 a.m., State and Marion County meeting, location at the Covered Bridge Cafe, 510 North 3rd Avenue, Staten. Tuesday, 7/9, the 9:30 a.m. work session here on solid waste update, Silverton Conference Room on the 5th floor, so we got that switched around, it looks like. On 7/9, Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. work session on economic development quarterly update, 5th floor here in the Silverton Conference Room. Again on Tuesday, the 9th, 4 p.m., Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council in the Commissioner's Ballroom here on the 5th floor. 7/10, Wednesday, we're 8:30 a.m. I was going to say we're back here, but no, we're not, because we'll see. 8:30 a.m., Marion County Housing Authority Board work session, affordable housing portfolio here on the 5th floor in the Silverton Conference Room. And then Wednesday evening, the 10th, 5:30 p.m., Marion County Fair Board, Log Cabin, Oregon State Fairgrounds, 2330 17th Street, Northeast, Salem. And the reason there's no board session on Wednesday is because we will go into the next week of Thursday, the 11th, and we'll be at the Oregon State Fairgrounds for our Marion County Fair. And that'll be a fun deal. And we got some good news at the fair. I serve on the Oregon State Fair Council, and the governor stuck some money in there for the restoration of the historic horse barns and the chicken, the poultry barn. Yeah, they need some help. And there was some more money for some more roofs and some stuff. So the legislature is has been responding to the good work that's been done over there and funding to help do some infrastructure to keep that going. So looking forward to being at the fair and having an ice cream from the dairy barn. Okay, so you had the sheriff's department stick around. You had some.
I do. Probably inappropriate, but it's the story of my life. This would be probably where normally we would talk about these issues like a management update. But I kind of just wanted to go on the record publicly where the public could see my thinking and start a real discussion. And the subject matter is a safety corridor in the Donald St. Paul area. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of reading about an accident every week and people dying and relatives coming up to me and telling me what are we doing? It's not working. And so I just want to see what maybe, I don't know, if they want to, they can comment. It looks like legislation has passed, I don't know the number, that gives us the authority to do it. It's going to take some time. But I want to move it along. I want to be ready to go and decide which roads we want to do. The deal is, and we've fought it, impact from Newburgh on simple country roads is overwhelming them. They're not designed for it. We've done everything we can, widen the roads, striping, signs, rumble strips, and yet weekly accidents and death. Timely right now with the rodeo. There's always accidents around the rodeo time, but my idea is to play hardball. Say, okay, let's not make this the preferred way to get to the freeway from Newburgh. And I would throw out, I'm sure we'll have hearings if we want to do this, like make it 45 miles an hour in this whole area and enforce it. I would put extra deputies full time, at least I go duck hunting. At 6 o'clock in the morning, you can't safely drive River Road. I can promise you that, with people passing you in the fog. So it's time to recognize it and do everything we can. And the local people, they call for it, they'll be mad if it really could happen. Maybe there's reasonable numbers, 50 miles an hour. My thought's 45. So I'm looking for some support from you, Kevin. I wish Colin was here, and the sheriff, to say, hey, we're tired of this, and it's just wrong to let people die there on a road that isn't set up for it.
Well, I would agree with you, and I think I know Public Works is already working with sheriffs. I know there have been discussions. Brian Nicholas was talking about getting ready for it and being able to, they were supportive. They wrote letters, testified on the bill. So I'm assuming that bill passed. I didn't look at it, but
I don't even know the number. I just was told it did pass.
I see the sheriff is here, so Sheriff Cast, if you wanted to comment on it. And I know you've had some saturation patrols you mentioned the other day, too.
98 miles an hour, that ought to get your attention.
Yes, for the record, I'm Joe Cast. I'm the sheriff from Marion County. And you're right, we have had saturation patrols up there, especially during the busier travel times, the morning rush hour, the evening rush hour. And we are, like you, seeing those type of speeds in just a 4-hour block. I don't have the exact statistics. I know we have them out there. I just don't have them with me here today. But we did have several that were nearly 100 miles an hour, 96, 98 miles an hour in that area up there. And I do think if we can pull together folks from Public Works, your office and our office, and talk about what we can do up there, I think we should be able to do something to help reduce that. And we would be supportive of doing something up there. It's been really bad. The crashes and the fatalities are not.
So
acceptable.
I just want to expedite things.
Are there special grant dollars in a safety corridor, if you have a safety, the safety corridor that I always think of is the one to the coast over there by the casino, right in there. They turn that into a safety corridor and then they put dividers down the middle of the road. Is that Highway 18 or 22?
It should be 18.
I think it's Highway 18 right there in that
yeah,
section.
because after 22 gets in there and they really changed the whole structure. You can't go. They were having head-ons over there, and they did a whole bunch of improvements. Of course, that's ODOT's road.
Right. And I definitely think I was told by our traffic safety team that legislation did pass. And so I think if we can get together and talk about that, I think there's got to be some things we can do there. I don't know how the grant money is funded from that side on those roads, but I think it's something we definitely need to pursue and talk about.
Meet with ODOT and get Public Works. So, well, I know you guys, you're going to be really busy this weekend, starting tonight.
Yes.
With the rodeo. And does the rodeo start today?
Yeah, I think it was last night, actually.
Oh.
Yes, they're up there for the weekend, through the weekend now.
Yeah, and I heard some fireworks up at the lake yesterday, and I went, oh my gosh. Of course, it rained last night up there, so then maybe that'll help a little bit.
Keep the fire down a little, hopefully.
Yeah. Anything else?
Just
No,
that, let's make it happen.
Yeah, we can get there. Anything else you want to chat about? Sheriff, thank you for being here. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right. Look at these great people out there. Anything else?
No, just fun stuff coming up. Rodeo, Detroit. A lot of good Statons parade. Gotta sell fireworks. I don't like doing that, but I'll do it.
Sell fireworks?
Yes, that's our big
All
fundraiser
right.
for the Rotary.
Thanks, gentlemen. Okay, well, we will, and we're supposed to leave our computers on. I got that note, right? So I'm not going to shut mine down like I always do. Michael can have it. Okay, we will adjourn.